Hey folks, finally back home, back in Texas, drinking one of my favorite Texas beers. This is the Fireman's No. 4, and it's windy out here. And as many of you know, I was at the Macy's Sizzle Showdown up in Kansas City, and Sizzle Showdown. I did a black pepper crusted flat iron steak with a Guinness reduction sauce. I've done that video I don't know, a couple years ago or whatever, but I submitted that recipe to Macy's for their grilling guru contest that they sent out a promotion about, and I made it to the semifinals. That's why I was in Kansas City, and I have to say, it was an eye-opener. I have never competed before. Oh, that's good. I have never competed in a cooking contest before, and it really was. It was interesting. It was a lot of fun. It was very stressful. We only had 60 minutes to cook our, make our recipe, and it doesn't, I mean, 60 minutes doesn't sound like, yeah, I can probably pull that off in 60 minutes, but you're dealing with a new grill, a different grill that you've never worked with. You don't know where the hot spots are. You don't know where the cold spots are. The grills were really nice gas grills. They were Brinkmann gas grills, but they didn't have thermometers on the grill like with my Weber. It has a thermometer right on it, so it lets me know what the temperature is of the grill. So we had a few minutes before it actually started to bring the grills up to temperature, and I really wasn't sure that the temperatures were correct. I mean, I could put my hand over the grates and I could feel okay, kind of like playing it out, but that took me some time to figure out where to go. So I had to saute the black pepper with the olive oil to help temper the black pepper, and then I had forgot to put in my ingredients list that I need a bowl to transfer the pepper to, and I needed another bowl to transfer the onions, because when I made the reduction sauce, I sauteed the onions with the butter and the Guinness Stout and reduced it down, but I couldn't reduce it down enough, and I think that might have cost me a few points, because I really wanted that reduction to be more like a syrup, but it ended up being more like just a sauce. I mean, it tasted great, but it didn't have the same presentation, and 25% of the judging criteria was presentation, and I was really looking forward to that nice caramelized, dark brown, blackish syrup to go over the flat iron steaks. But to tell you the truth, I'm almost glad I didn't win, because dealing with the stress from this cook-off, I mean, it was very exciting and everything, but man, it was intense. There was only 3 of us at this showdown, and the one in New York City where the finalists are going, there's going to be 6. And that's going to be the best of the best around the country. So I'm kind of glad I don't have to look forward to that, and that's going to be at the end of June, and so then I'd if I won the showdown, the semifinals, then I'd have to be like, oh my God, what are these other people going to do, and blah blah blah. But there was a few mishaps. Macy's was great. The representatives from Macy's that took care of this were just absolutely phenomenal. Like Jessica and Mackenzie, they were fantastic. They took care of us. I mean, I was picked up at the airport in a limo, a Lincoln Continental limo, drove to the Aloft Hotel in Kansas City, Leawood. Leawood is a really affluent suburb of Kansas City, and the hotel accommodations were incredible. I did have a slight problem with the hotel, but Mackenzie took care of it like that. She was like right on it. I can't say enough about how well these 2 women pulled this off with just 3 of us, and just getting everything together, getting all of our food ready, getting our stations ready, our grills, everything we needed. We had to get there. The cook-off started at noon, but we had to be there at 12:15 because we each had to go into the caterer's tent and make sure that they got everything that we needed. And the caterers were really happy with me because I mean, flat iron steak, butter, olive oil, black pepper, some watercress, and some Guinness stout. Well, they kind of messed up. They didn't bring me flat iron steaks. They brought me skirt steak. And I told the manager of the catering company, I'm like, well, that's going to change everything because there's a big difference between skirt steak and flat iron steak. And she's like, okay. So she gets on the phone and she calls. She still had some people running around town trying to put together some other stuff for the other contestants. So she called and she says, we need flat iron steaks, flat iron steaks. So flat iron steaks taken care of. They gave me one 12-ounce bottle of Guinness stout. Now normally I use like the 14-ounce can, and I really needed the 14 ounces instead of 12 ounces. So she's like, okay, we'll get you another bottle of Guinness stout. So they ended up bringing me 2 bottles of Guinness stout, which I had enough left over, you know, I had to make sure that the Guinness was good, okay? So I had my 14 ounces of Guinness. I actually, they brought me back again, and I opened up the packet, and I'm like, yes, these are flat iron steaks, and they were beautiful. So everything was in place. The watercress, I didn't check. I looked at it and I saw the label that said that it was watercress, but it was a completely different kind of watercress that I am used to here that I get at HEB. Normally the watercress I get it's a really small leaf and it's very mild. This was really big leaves. It almost looked like baby spinach. And I didn't notice that until the celebrity chef Stephanie Izard, she was like talking with me and asked me about my preparation stuff, and I showed her the watercress, and she goes, "Wow, that's really different. Have you tasted it yet?" And I'm like, "I haven't." So we tasted it together, and we both are like tasting this watercress, and I'm like, "Oh wow, that is like it was very peppery. It tasted like turnip greens. I mean, it was really strong." But I explained to her that it was basically just like I put the watercress as a bed to put the sliced steak on, and she says that'll probably work. Once you get the steak and everything, probably. So she was really cool about that, and went forward with it. I wished I could have had more time to do the reduction sauce. The reduction sauce, like I said, didn't turn out quite the way it was because I kept moving the cast iron skillet around, and they gave me like this big cast iron skillet, and I kind of wanted a small one to kind of really concentrate the heat and everything. But they gave me this bigger cast iron skillet, and it just took forever, and it was hard to get the Guinness and the onions to like really come up to a really good rapid boil simmer, because I kept moving around trying to find like where's the hottest spot. I mean, the grill did have a side burner, but it was so windy that and anybody that grills and they have a side burner, they know if there's any wind at all, that side burner is useless. So I couldn't even use the side burner. And to make matters worse, it kept raining off and on. It would pour like crazy, then it would stop. Then it would pour like crazy, then it would stop again. Luckily, when it was time to actually go to the grill, it had stopped raining. The crowd were all underneath the tent. The stage and everything was all under a big, huge tent. And I gotta give it to Macy's. They really did a great job with the setup. The facilities were incredible. They had like an incredible video crew. They actually had like these 2 big jumbotrons on the sides of the stage. I didn't actually get to see it because I was behind it, but they had like 3 cameras, small cameras mounted on each of us, and they had this big roving camera where the guy was like going constantly moving back and forth, and Stephanie kept moving from each of us, and we were talking about different things, and how we like to cook and how we like to grill, and it was very, very interesting. I got to talk with Stephanie quite a bit, and I did plug Tom's Test Kitchen, my YouTube channel, and I plugged Tastemade. I talked to Stephanie quite a bit about my YouTube work and the whole thing with Tastemade, and she was very interested with that. And I gave her one of my Tom's Test Kitchen cards, and she's like, I can't wait to see some of your videos. It sounds really interesting. So she was really cool. I really, I've watched some of her other videos because she's based in Chicago, and she has a couple of restaurants, and one of her main restaurants is called Girl and the Goat. And but she was a very interesting person, really, really fun to talk to, just a really great personality. I had a blast. Dan from Smoky Goodness, the YouTube channel Smoky Goodness, he came down because he didn't live far from there. He lives up in Lincoln, Nebraska, and apparently Lincoln is only a 3-hour drive to Kansas City. So Dan came down, and Dan was my video crew. It was great. I made him a all-stage access laminate so he could wear around, and I kind of like told the people, like, the photographers and videographers and the Macy's reps, is like, he's my video guy, so he can go wherever he wants. So Dan set up, and he was able to get in and get some really great video and some really great photos, and I gotta thank you, Dan. Glad you stuck around, Herb. And then me and Dan hung out pretty much most of the time. There was some really great restaurants right there. Dan took some great still photos that he shared on Facebook, and I've been sharing them with a few other people, and I can't wait to see the video. It's going to take him a while to edit this video together, but I know it's going to be fantastic because Dan is really great with video. He knows, he's got a good eye for editing, and he's a real perfectionist, so can't wait, Mr. Smoky Goodness guy. There was a few other things that happened. We were shooting a Salsa Saturday in a small park across from the hotel, and we just wrapped up shooting the Salsa Saturday, and all of a sudden 2 fire trucks, the fire warden and police cars all showed up at the hotel, blocked everything off, and we're like, what the heck is going on? So we were just standing over in this cool little park, and it was really funny. The Macy's photographer, the guy that was contracted to do the photography for Macy's, he happened to walk up. I don't know if he was staying at the hotel or if he was staying nearby, but he walked up, and we started talking. We were talking about the photos that he shot. He's a really cool guy, and we're standing there like, what the heck is going on? And after, I don't know, probably about 45 minutes or an hour, fire trucks left and everything, and we're like, wonder what's going on. And I went back into the hotel because I had all my equipment, my tripod and camera and everything, and so I went back to the hotel to put my stuff in the room, and I asked the hotel manager, I was like, what? And I could smell it. He's like, we had a transformer fire on the 4th floor, and I could smell it in the lobby of the hotel. And so the guy was like, he's like, yeah, all of a sudden just the whole lobby was just, smoke was billowing out of the AC ducts. And he said he ran downstairs and pulled the fire alarm and called 911, but nobody was leaving the hotel. I mean, if there's a fire alarm going off in your hotel, don't you leave? And so he was like so frustrated. He was like, yeah, I was going from room to room, banging on doors, yelling at people that they have to get out. And they're like, no, we'll be fine. And he's like, no, you don't understand. There's a fire in this hotel. You've got to leave. So, he kind of felt bad that he was being rude to these people, but you got to be rude to dumbasses. Because they were like, no, we'll be fine, It's like, Category 5 hurricane coming to your city, and you're like, no, we'll ride it out. No. You get out. Anything else particularly happen? No, everything went really smooth. There was a few little hiccups here and there, but definitely was a learning experience, and I'm glad to be back here in Texas. So thanks, folks. I know this was kind of long-winded, but there was a lot of people that kind of wanted to know how things were going, and I did actually. I'm trying to get better with Twitter, and I was like tweeting constantly. You know, I was like adding a photo of like where I was in the process, and you know, it's kind of like some backstage scenes, and so I'm trying to get better with Twitter, and got a lot of responses from Twitter, and I really appreciate that. And I took my little GoPro and I set it off kind of like out of the way on a tripod at the stage, and I set it up for a time lapse. So I set it up for a 10-second increment time lapse and caught the entire thing. It was like, the whole thing was a little over 2 hours. So I've got like the whole time lapse that I have to put together and edit. And you probably saw one of my last time lapses, which was really fun, you know, behind the scenes in my kitchen. So this is a time lapse of behind the scenes of Macy's Sizzle Showdown, America's Greatest Grilling Guru or whatever. So stay tuned for that. So I just finished. I'm uploading my Salsa Saturday on a Sunday, kind of a special Salsa Saturday. So I'm gonna edit this one, so you'll see this one next, and then you'll see the time lapse from behind the scenes at the Macy's Showdown. So that's it for me. I'm tired. Ba 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 ba.